boy, is it Christmas in the Music City, as yesterday was a sight to behold on Twitter. As in a rare NASCAR Twitter W, the entire NASCAR community came together and beat the crap out of the Karens. Almost makes me want to shed a tear. I am so proud of this community. In case you're unaware or just not on Twitter anymore because it's an absolute dumpster fire, the Citizens Against Racetrack Expansion for Nashville, or CARE, tried to pick fun at NASCAR on Twitter and absolutely got obliterated in response. It's the prime example of screw around and find out. So of course this past weekend, NASCAR was in the city of Nashville for its Ally 400 weekend at the Nashville Superspeedway. However, CARE, having the mindset that NASCAR is a dying sport and that's proof that the Nashville Fairgrounds isn't worth renovating, posted this on Twitter. "We can't wait to spend $160 million in Nashville taxpayer dollars to subsidize this thriving sport." Oh, you're serious. Okay, let me keep it $150 for you. That's the Xfinity race. It's fairly common for the lower tier series to not sell out. Oh yeah, and then they proceed to double down with this wallop of a tweet. "Sorry to miss all the fun on Friday night. These empty seats will sure generate a lot of economic activity for Nashville." Oh my gosh! The truck race never sells out unless it's an exclusive race to the venue. I've been to boatloads of truck races, and there's never a full grandstand for those. You're making a crappy comparison. But hey, I mean, we still got the Cup race, as they posted those tweets way before the Cup race. And what do you know? The Cup race came out in brute force with a sold-out crowd. Gee, I wonder what Karen had to say about this. Care? Care? Yoo-hoo. You want to acknowledge the sold-out crowd? Huh. It's kind of weird how Care went radio silent on the night of the race. I guess they didn't want to admit they were wrong, huh? On the day of the race, I kind of pointed out to Care that, yeah, you were kind of wrong. So you want to say that again on how NASCAR is a dying sport? But I didn't really think much about it. I just wanted to ratio them just a little bit. I didn't really think it'd take off too much, considering that usually Care doesn't get that much attention. But the following day, I was shocked to see what happened. I was at work when this happened, when Death Star on Discord was just pinging me saying, take a look at what's going on the Care's Twitter page. And when I looked, wow, it was unbelievable. 257 comments! Oh my gosh! We all came together and just beat the crap out of them in the QRTs. But in the end, Care pretty much just walked away. So they didn't really try to defend themselves or anything, they just walked away. But the following day, which is Tuesday, the day I'm recording this, they posted yet another tweet. As in a desperate attempt at trying to prove themselves right once again, they decided to go out and fact-check an article from Bill Freeman in the Nashville scene. Respect for Bill Freeman at Nashville scene, but he got a few things wrong. Really? A few things wrong, huh? So what better way to celebrate Care's absolute annihilation than to kick them while they're down? So today, I'm going to be going through that article and fact-checking all their fact checks, because they got a lot of stuff wrong in their little article there. But before we begin, if you have yet to see my original Care video, I recommend watching that first. It's in the top corner of the screen if you want to take a look at it. Alright, if you're still here, you either already watched it or don't care, so let's go ahead and get right into debunking the Karens yet again. Bill Freeman. Poll highlights strong backing for racetrack renovations. NASCAR's return. Bill, did we miss your call? No worries. We understand that you, like most in Nashville, may not be familiar with the details of the proposed BMS deal. Happy to get you up to speed. Care. Alright, you guys buckled up? You guys ready for some terrible misinformation? Alright, let's get into it. A recent poll commissioned by Biased Source, Bristol Motor Speedway, has shed some light on how Nashvillians feel about the proposed renovations at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway and the return of NASCAR. Oh my gosh! We're not even one sentence in and the irony is through the roof! You're calling Bristol Motor Speedway a biased source when your entire endeavor is based on biased sources! And it also doesn't help that you don't even list said sources 90% of the time. And even when you do, you take them way out of context. You pretty much anticipate that the people reading those articles and supporting you lack any reading comprehension, because all they have to do is read the articles you sourced and realize you're just making stuff up. And even when you are right, you're cherry picking and distorting the facts to defend your side. The poll, conducted by Washington, D.C. based Hart Research Associates, provides valuable insights into the opinions of the community. And in my mind, it highlights the overwhelming local support for the renovation project. Pollster Insight disagrees. The public's lack of familiarity with the proposal means opinions could quickly change based on messaging. In this case, facts. Okay, I'll give them some credit. It is a good idea to educate the people on what's actually going on so they actually know what they're supporting. But they're actually trying to say that if they were to educate them, everyone that was uneducated before would then be against the proposal, which we'll later find out isn't all what cracked up to be. According to poll results, many Nashvillians were not familiar with the details of the proposed deal between the city and Bristol Motor Speedway. However, when those polled were providing an explanation with the proposal, support for the renovations outweighed opposition. Survey misled on deal details, never mentioned cost to taxpayers, implied private and state pay for it all, never mentioned Bristol would invest $0 into this deal and will get all the upside, or that sales tax revenue will be diverted to help pay for the $160 million. That's just a straight up lie! If you actually go to the Bristol renovation website talking about what they're planning on doing to the fairgrounds, Bristol openly said they're going to pay $40 million to help with this renovation. Sure, that still leaves $120 million that needs to be helped out, but they'll also have help from private investors. So in reality, taxpayers really aren't going to be paying as much as you claim they will. Plus, any of the excess money left over will be given back to the community of Nashville. You know, the thing that you said your tax dollars should be going to? It's still going to be going to the community. And I feel like thanks to the extra tax dollars, you might actually have more money to give back to the community than if you were to oppose this decision. Plus, this isn't going to be happening for the rest of time. Taxes might go up a little bit until renovations are done, then the track will be able to generate enough revenue to keep itself afloat, without any outside help. Now keep in mind, I'm not an expert on taxes, I barely know how taxes work, but trust me when I say these Karens don't know anything about taxes either. So, yeah. And plus, this isn't going to be the last time they're going to mention taxes. After receiving a description of the deal, 67% of those polled countrywide expressed their support, with 27% in opposition and 6% remaining uncertain. The numbers are even stronger among the residents in the neighboring communities, where an overwhelming 72% rallied behind the renovations following a description. A 9% margin of error and biased framing will skew any poll results. Not a solid argument on which to base on an opinion piece. Also, other issues of concern in the deal, not mentioned in the neighborhood survey, were pointed out by the Tennessean. And alright guys, you guys ready for this? Get your confetti out, get your noisemaker out, because they actually used the source to defend their argument this time! Unbelievable! And after a little bit of research on this article, I discovered the main concerns that weren't mentioned in the initial survey. And it turns out the concern is just the cost of the whole thing and how it's going to be paid for. Long story short, yes, there will be tax dollars going into this renovation, but a majority of it will be covered by the state and Bristol Motor Speedway. So in the end, the taxpayers really won't be forking over the entire bill, just a little chunk of it. And if people are already in favor of the fairgrounds becoming a track again and getting some major renovations, I feel like they're going to be totally fine with this. If it means a historical landmark remains there and doesn't get demolished, who cares if they end up having to pay a couple more dollars on tax day? And as much as I love to see the Karens actually using sources to back up their arguments, and not just make up everything. This is the only time they've used the source in the entire article. So with that being said, let's keep moving on. As reported by the Tennessean, most respondents reported positive feelings toward the fairground. Nearly half, 48% of voters, said they have attended the fairgrounds events in the last 5 years, and 21% they visited the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. This signifies the potential for widespread enthusiasm among our residents once they become more informed about the project. In 2011, Nashville voted overwhelmingly to protect the historical fairgrounds. This plan demolishes the historical part of the existing fairground speedway, but the poll does not include this fact in its survey information. What on earth are you talking about? They're not going to demolish the historical part of the speedway. The speedway is the historical part of the track. They're just going to be giving it a little bit of a facelift. Modernize it a little bit. That's the entire point of this proposal. They're not going to demolish the track and start from square one. They're going to give it some modernization and, actually give it some care that it desperately needs. Because as the time I'm recording it, the amenities at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway are in terrible condition. The track's going to remain the same, but the amenities and grandstand are going to be seeing a major overhaul and get a major update, which a lot of fans are fully behind and support. They're not demolishing the historical track, they're preserving it. Alright, moving on. But it's also important to note that John Ingram, CEO of the Nashville Soccer Club, has raised concerns about the racetrack renovation. One of his chief concerns seemed to be that the racetrack will be competing with the Nashville SC at GDOS Park. As a dedicated businessman, Ingram is naturally driven to protect his investments. Nashville SC took responsibility for paying 100% of the debt on top of his stadium revenue bonds, on top of the $150 million investment in construction. Team guaranteed that the city would not have to foot the bill. Yeah, it's kinda easy for you to build a stadium out of pocket when you're worth $4.2 billion, just saying. But that's a really stupid comparison that has absolutely nothing to do with his concerns. But I'd like to say that his concerns really aren't going to be that big of a deal. There are countless stadiums across the country that have other stadiums right next to each other, with both stadiums having a different target audience. For example, Ford Field is right across the street from Comerica Park, and not too far away from the Little Caesars Arena. These stadiums aren't competing with the same target audience. Each one has their own main source of revenue when it comes to their own sports. Ford Field is the best for football fans, Comerica Park is the best for baseball fans, and Little Caesars Arena is the best for hockey fans. The same thing will apply to the Fairgrounds Speedway and GDOS Park, if this were to go through. Not to mention, a big chunk of the proposal is actually going to help out GDOS Park in the long term, by expanding their parking lot for more events. So in long story short, I feel like Ingram should actually be supporting this decision because his soccer stadium is actually going to benefit significantly if the Fairgrounds Speedway proposal was passed. Two sports stadiums right next to each other can work, and it's not even a sports stadium that they're working on. This is a racetrack. So I feel like Ingram could benefit from this. But regardless, I'm not going to go ahead and talk about Karen's little argument there and how, oh, he could build his own stadium out of pocket, so can you! Which honestly is kind of a stupid and really bad comparison. Alright, moving on. Still, it is crucial for our city's decision makers to consider the greater good of Nashville and listen to the voice of the people, remembering the potential benefits for our entire community. And as I mentioned in my last column, the Nashville Soccer Club built on its site with complete awareness of the Speedway's historic value and Nashville's intention to maintain and improve the facilities. Improving the facilities did not include placing two 30,000-seat venues literally side by side. It is a legitimate concern whether Nashville can support two stadiums of this size that compete for the same non-sporting events. Oh my gosh, stop with the fear-mongering! This is pretty much just parodying the same argument I already debunked. They're not quote-unquote competing with each other, they're working together. GDOS Park is going to be hosting the non-sporting events. The Speedways is going to be focusing on racing as its primary source of entertainment. Stop trying to put these two venues to war when there's no need to do so. Alright, moving on. I also wrote and still believe that through open dialogue and collaboration, we can still win. The Speedway renovations hold great promise for our city. Not only will they bring the thrill of NASCAR racing, but they will provide a catalyst for economic growth, job creation, and cultural revitalization. Fact check! BMS keeps all the revenue from any NASCAR events at the Fairgrounds Speedway. There is no direct economic benefit for the people of Nashville. Double fact check, that's literally what Bristol said they were going to do with any excess construction funds. Give it back to the community. Also, just because you're not getting any quote-unquote direct economic benefits from this doesn't mean you're not getting anything at all. More racing at the fairgrounds mean more people go to see the race. More people go to see the race, which means more people will go to the local businesses. More people go to the local businesses mean those local businesses will get more money. There's more to economical benefits than you just getting spoon-fed money. But considering the last video that you were anti-tourist, I can totally see why you absolutely hate this idea. Oh yeah, and don't think I forgot about your other comment just before this. A false flag, no. There's no requirement for a NASCAR event in the deal. There are no NASCAR events in residential neighborhoods. There is already a current NASCAR venue just 20 miles away, and NASCAR teams are already fighting to keep a shrinking revenue pot. Up! Ring the bell! Ring the bell! They said it! They made the NASCAR is a dying sport argument! First things first, a NASCAR event is not required in the deal? What does that even mean? It's a racetrack! They're renovating it to race here! What do you think they're doing this for? There's no NASCAR races in residential neighborhoods? Well, unless your neighborhood was built before 1904, you don't have an argument here. The track was here first. So that's a you problem, not the tracks. And like I already mentioned in my last video, you'd have a point on there's already a NASCAR track 20 miles away if the track was being built from the ground up. But the Fairgrounds Speedway was there before Nashville Speedway came along. So there's really no argument here. And yeah, I think you've already been ratioed enough about you claiming NASCAR's a dying sport, so I'm not going to repeat it again. As noted in a response letter by Jerry Caldwell, the president and general manager of Bristol Motor Speedway, the plan is to restore the track, add additional parking for non-racing events such as soccer games, flea markets, and concerts at DDoS Park, and build a sound absorption barrier to substantially reduce auto racing sounds and provide hundreds of well-paying jobs for the community. The positive impacts seem to far outweigh the negatives, and considering the numbers from the poll, many Nashvillians agree. See, this is something I feel like the Karens don't understand. That NASCAR, Bristol, and the city of Nashville is working with them, not against them. They're taking their concerns about noises and other things seriously. That's why they're doing all of this innovations and accommodations to help it out. The soundproof barriers, the muffler package that they're going to be using here, all of this is done to help them. Plus, the article said it itself. The positives completely outweigh the negatives here. Everybody's going to benefit from this, but the Karens refuse to accept this. Everybody here is going to win. NASCAR fans are going to win. Local businesses are going to win. DDoS Park and the Nashville Soccer Club's going to win. Even the Karens are going to slightly win with just slightly less noise. Because they already complain about the noise now, but there's going to be even less noise if they get through the renovations. They literally have a solution to their biggest problem with the Speedway, and they're refusing to accept it because my tax dollars. Alright, moving on. The renovations address the concerns raised by the community, including sound integration and increased parking for non-race events. By actively addressing these issues, the project demonstrates a commitment to the well-being and comfort of both residents and visitors. There's been no significant community input. When the Fair Board narrowly backed the deal, commissioners assured neighbors that changes could be made by the Metro Council. Now the council is passing the buck and will leave our neighbors holding the bill, and our children dealing with the substantial decrease in the quality of life for years to come.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
No significant community input. The muffler package and the soundproof barriers were designed to address the noise concerns. The increased parking were designed to address the traffic concerns. They actively care about your comfort and your concerns. That's why they're doing this. Also, they're remaining in their same area they've been in for the past 100 years. They're not going to be bulldozing your neighborhood down, so I don't know what you're talking about with the quality of life thing. This is a major overreaction, but if you genuinely think that this renovation's going to ruin your livelihood, then maybe you should move out. Because this is an absolutely pathetic argument. To boot, Metro Nashville's fact sheet on the Speedway provides comprehensive details about the funding structure, with public funding sources covering the majority of renovation and construction costs. This means Nashville's taxpayers will not bear the burden of financing the project, creating a fair and equitable distribution of responsibility. Except it doesn't. This bad deal hands over 106. Oh my gosh, they're making the same arguments over and over again. Oh, we're gonna have to pay more taxes. They're not gonna be putting any money into it. You're making the same arguments over and over again. It's like, it always comes back to, oh, we're gonna have to pay more taxes. I already mentioned this over and over again. Bristol and the city of Nashville are going to be footing a majority of the bill. You might have to pay a teeny tiny little bit in taxes, but overall, it's not going to be that big of a deal, and it's only going to be one time. Once the track is running again, they will take care of the rest. Oh my gosh! It's almost like they don't have enough arguments, they're just going back to taxes or something! Though all concerns should be heard and addressed, let's remember the potential of this project. It can revive a beloved venue, reignite the spirit of NASCAR, and unite our community in celebrating something good. Something that families and neighbors can do together. By moving forward with this project, we can invest in our city's future, reputation, culture, and wealth. Nashville is changing rapidly. Holding on to something that has been here for more than a century is a good idea. You can't get back something once you tear it down. Exactly! Then why should Nashville support a plan that demolishes the historical part of the existing Fairground Speedway? They're not trying to demolish the track! That's what you're trying to do! Why do you think so many people are supporting the renovation? 'Cause they want to preserve this track! Meanwhile, you're spreading misinformation and fear-mongering everybody to demolish the track so you can protect your tiny, little, super-sensitive eardrums! Stop pretending like you care about the historical value of the Speedway, because you clearly don't! If you did, your entire organization wouldn't even exist! Today, no one would ever consider tearing down the Parthenon or the Ryman. Think of how successful the Ryman has been since being brought back from the brink of destruction. Some wanted it razed. Nashville without the Ryman is unthinkable today. In 20 years, let's hope people will be saying the same thing about Nashville and its racetrack. As a proud citizen of Nashville, I wholeheartedly advocate for the Nashville Fairground Speedway renovation. The poll only emphasizes what this means to the people of Nashville and to racing fans. I think this project symbolizes our city's resilience, ambition, and commitment to growth. I say we put the pedal to the metal and go full speed ahead. What's the rush? There's no ticking clock. We're about to elect a new mayor and a new council who will be responsible for seeing this proposal through. Do they deserve input? Maybe the people of Nashville should also have a say through a referendum? It is their money after all. Oh, so you just want to stall it? 'Cause that's exactly what you're trying to say you want. You just want them to stall it as long as possible until a new mayor comes along that supports your ideas and wants to tear down the racetrack. You just want to filibuster until you get more political clout. And that's why everyone just wants to get this over and done with. Because everyone that supports this decision of getting the track back up and running knows exactly what game you're trying to play. And what do you mean the people of Nashville should have a say in this? They already do! They want the track back! Stop trying to convince everybody that we need to delay this! Because everybody knows you're just trying to do this until you can get a mayor that supports your stupid ideology. The benefits heavily outweigh the negatives. Why would anyone want to delay this? Let's get it done! Oh my gosh, I'm getting so worked up right now because it's just, you can't reason with stupid. But at least we've come to the very end of the article. Man, that was painful to go through. And let me just say that their fact-checking was really poorly done. They kept using the same arguments over and over, and their only piece of evidence was a vaguely sourced news article. Bill Freeman, if you're watching this video, you did a fantastic job on your article. Do not listen to these Karens because they have no idea what they're talking about. This coming month, July, the Metro Council will finally vote on the Fairground Speedway if they're going to approve this renovation. And honestly, I feel like there's a big chance they will. The benefits blow out any negatives out of the water. And this historical venue needs help more than ever as the track is practically falling apart at the seams. but this renovation's going to keep this historical track afloat. Ignore these Karens trying to intimidate and misinform you, because they have no idea what they're talking about, and at the end of the day, they want to tear down this racetrack for their own selfish needs. And that's the end of the video. If I missed anything or got anything wrong, you can put it in the comments below and I'll pin it. Because it's really important to educate the people that are unaware about the renovations and the proposals and tell them what's actually going on. Especially on the tax parts, because I'm not really the best at this, and the last thing I want to do is tell people things that aren't true. So if you want to fact check the fact checker that fact checked the fact checkers, you could gladly do so in the comment section below. As long as you're not one of the Karens. If you are, then I'll delete your comment. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's keep the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway alive and well into the coming years. And let's support this renovation. This is Nasshawk signing off. Bye-bye.